This is the Weekly Firecast, Episode 6, Grilling Accessory Special.
Strap yourselves in. It's time for the Weekly Firecast. This is the podcast for all foodies, those who love food that is cooked over a fire or feels like fire in your mouth. If you love spice, smoke, sauce, and all things savory, this is the show for you. And now, here's your host, chili head and barbecuer, Scott Roberts.
Welcome, everybody, to the Weekly Firecast. Again, my name is Scott Roberts, your host and your guide as we dive into this world of all things hot and spicy and grilled and smoked and barbecued and just good in your mouth. I'm very pleased to present something I've wanted to do for a few weeks now, and that is focus on barbecue and grilling accessories. I have a couple great guests coming up. The first one is Brian Tobin of EasyGrillingProducts.com. He has some nice products for your grill in terms of a rotisserie and rotary racks, so that not only can you get more food in your grill, but you can get a combination of both indirect and direct heat as it turns around. So I'm excited to hear what he says about that here in a little bit. And then I'm going to also chat with Christopher Allen of iGrill. And that is a thermometer device that gives you a readout on your iPhone, iPad, iPod Touch, and hopefully soon your Android phones. So it's a nice mix of technology and something you absolutely need with grilling, knowing the temperature of your meats. And then after that, I give you what I think are the top 10 most important accessories, tools, or things to have with you as you go outdoors to grill or smoke. And I urge everyone to listen to that. And of course, I may be leaving a few things out. And you're welcome to tell me what you think. As always, you can go to twoguystalking.com/firecast. Go to the contact form on the left-hand side of the page and give me any and all feedback you may have about any show. And if you're new to the show, to the Weekly Firecast, please go back and listen to prior episodes. Some of the early ones focus on, hot sauce, some chili pepper growers, if you're into that kind of thing. I've interviewed Big Mista, Neil Straughter himself, one of the most well-known guys in barbecue today. There's lots of good listening, so if you have iTunes, feel free to subscribe, download a podcast, and I'm sure it will make you a better person. Well, I don't know about that, but you'll get a few hours of enjoyment, I'm sure, out of it. And last but not least, for the review of the week, I have Firefly Hot Sauce. There's 3 different sauces from that brand I'm going to review. And just to give you a little spoiler, they're really tasty and I like them. So stick around, I'll get to those in just a few minutes. I have a few housekeeping notes. First up, if you've discovered this podcast via iTunes or maybe the twoguystalking.com website, you may or may not know that I have one of the most popular hot sauce and spicy food blogs on the web. So obviously you have a little bit of interest in the topic or else you wouldn't be listening to the show. But if you want to get some good reading under your belt, hop on over to my blog at scottrobertsweb.com, where there's a wealth of product reviews, spicy food coverage when it comes to chili peppers, hot sauces, barbecue, grilling, you name it. I'm into it, and you will read about it there. And if you happen to be listening to this episode before the first week of October 2012, if you live anywhere in the Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana area, and are into fiery foods, I urge all of you to make the trip to Jungle Jim's Weekend of Fire, a big hot sauce show. It's in the Cincinnati area, technically Fairfield, Ohio, and that's at the famous Jungle Jim's International Market. Now, that is a rather large grocery store. It's just amazing to behold. It's probably about 3 times the size of a regular supermarket that you would normally buy groceries at. And that in and of itself is fun. But they have a little event center tacked on to the property, and there is a big hot sauce convention there. 50 vendors with every kind of hot sauce and pepper jelly and salsa and barbecue sauce and seasoning and rub that you can think of. And many great gourmet and artisan food companies are going to be there with samples of all their products. So it is well worth the drive, even if it takes you a good couple hours. Now, I'm going to be driving from St. Louis. It's going to take me about 5 hours to get from St. Louis to the Cincinnati area. But it is well worth it if you're into spicy foods at all. So if you want information about that, go to weekendoffire.com. It'll have all the information on there. I will be there. There's going to be a blogger's booth there. So myself and several of my colleagues will be there in the far corner. Stop by and say hi. So if I'm not perusing the floor there at the show and I'm over at the booth, feel free just to say hi, say that you've listened to the podcast, that you read the site. I'm an approachable guy. I'm just a normal, everyday guy. and I love to talk and interact with everybody. So again, you can find out information about that at weekendoffire.com, and as usual, I'll put the link in the show notes. And I'd also like to mention that I'm also the co-host of the Two Guys Talking Dexter podcast. So all of this fall in 2012. So if you're a fan of the Showtime program Dexter, the show that's about a serial killer of serial killers, be sure to tune in as we go week by week and episode by episode and talk about the show, both the good and the bad and the goony. We're big fans of the show, and since we're very passionate about it, we will give our full and honest opinion about each and every episode as it goes into the 7th season. So you can find more information about that at twoguystalking.com. And while you're over there, there is a whole network of other podcasts. If you're a fan of True Blood on HBO, there's a podcast dedicated to that called Fangbanger. If you love hearing and talking about poker, there is the Two Guys Talking Poker podcast. There is a whole plethora of perspective reviews for lots and lots of the biggest Hollywood movies to appear in the past 5 years, 10 years. A lot of the superhero movies that have come out. We are going to do a perspective review on the Avengers movie, which in my opinion was the greatest superhero movie of all time. But if you'd like to hear more of some of the other superhero movies reviewed and some of the other big blockbusters, such as Back to the Future, the Toy Story movies, Pirates of the Caribbean, and others, jump on over to twoguystalking.com and listen to some of the perspective reviews. Anyway, that's enough of me gabbing. Let's go ahead and get to our segments for the show.
And now, the review of the week.
My review subject of this week is Firefly hot sauces. I'm reviewing 3 different sauces that they have. 3 that I'll be reviewing are called Garlic Fire, Cosmic Curry, and Tearjerker. Now the first one, Garlic Fire, it's definitely heavy in both of those words, both in garlic and in fire. And I'm a big garlic lover, as long as it's not overpowering of the other ingredients in a sauce or in a dish or whatever it is I make with it. You put in loads of good garlic, balance it out with other flavors, and I am very happy with the sauce. It's a terrific garlic flavor, terrific garlic heat. Now there's some good complementation with the sugar and the salt in it. It's got a rich chili pepper taste, although it doesn't specify on the bottle what kind of chili peppers it is. It just says chilies. And plus it has a little bit of lime juice to kind of round things out. It's a really good all-purpose kind of sauce. So I think this will be home on just about anything. Pizza, eggs, chicken tenders, Mexican food. This is a nice, versatile table sauce for chili heads. It might be a little bit too hot for mild mouths out there. So if you don't love loads of heat, this may not be like an everyday sauce for you. But for me, I would rate this a 2.5 out of 5 when it comes to heat. 1 being mild, 5 being absolutely mind-bogglingly hot. So it's right down the middle, good warmth. Overall, my rating of this would be a good quality 4 out of 5. Impressive stuff here. And the next sauce is Cosmic Curry. And while I do like Indian food, I am not a huge fan of the curry flavor. I could take a little bit of it, but to me it's something you can go way overboard with really easily, and thankfully it is used in just the right amounts. But overall it's a very sweet sauce, very flavorful. I could easily taste the onions and the brown sugar in it. It's got kind of a sweet, sharp, tangy edge to it as well. But for what it is, a curry hot sauce, it's quite good. And for this, I think it would be great on shrimp, chicken, other types of seafood, and lamb, as little as I have of that. I think it can go quite well on it. The heat may be around the same kind of range as the garlic fire that I just mentioned. 2.5 out of 5. So it's got a little bit of warmth to it, but it's not overpowering. And again, thank God the curry flavor is not overpowering. It gives me just enough, because that's my personal preference. You could love loads of curry powder yourself, and it's enough for me to give a good recommendation. I would give this sauce 3.5 out of 5 stars overall. Now, last but not least is Tearjerker. And while the ingredients listed on this bottle is identical to garlic fire, it definitely has a much different flavor profile. Now, the sauce is a deeper red than the garlic fire, which was a dark orange. This one probably gets quite a bit of its color from the red peppers. And judging by the aroma of this and the taste and the extreme heat, there's a very good chance there's some Trinidad scorpions in this. This is a very hot sauce. It gets a lot of the flavor profile from the peppers. It could be a mixture of habaneros in there as well, but it's definitely the Chinese variety of chili peppers. And, of course, this was probably built to be an extreme heat sauce and an all-purpose sauce. And while I think the actual heat of it prevents it from being an everyday table sauce, unless you're one of those extreme chili heads, by all means, put this on everything. And it does taste good on everything, Mexican, tacos, eggs. Splash it in whatever. If you want some good heat and good chili pepper flavor, this will do the trick. But it's not made for those of you who do not like spicy foods. This will be way too hot for you. The heat is an easy 4 out of 5, so it's way up there on the heat scale. This is nothing to mess around with. But the overall taste has a little bit more of the bitterness. That's kind of a trademark of those hotter, high-end, super hot chili peppers. And if you're trying to build a hot sauce that features those kind of flavors, I think they succeeded. To me, it's just a little too strong in that department. I might prefer a little bit more garlic, something, I guess, to kind of round out the flavor, but that's just being picky. To me, overall, Tearjerker would rate 3 out of 5 on flavor. Still a very positive review on it. Give it a thumbs up. Again, if I want some extreme heat to my food, several splashes of this will satisfy my needs for it. But overall, a good product line from Firefly Hot Sauces. They're actually made by a place called Passage Creek Farm from Fort Valley, Virginia. While they may be a little bit difficult to find on the web, I think their main website is a Google Sites page as of the time of this review in the fall of 2012. I'll go ahead and put up the link in the show notes. It should be really easy for you to get to the website. Click over there, buy these sauces. Really good deal. Really good stuff. I'm impressed with these. So again, these are Firefly Hot Sauces from Passage Creek Farms. Thumbs up for me.
And now, the Fire Talkers interview.
The subject of my first interview is Easy Grilling Products. Now, this is a Missouri-based company that makes some things for particular models of smokers. We will get into that in the conversation. But basically, it's a heavy-duty rotary rotisserie system for your grill or smoker. One is a Ferris wheel type contraption that will spin whatever it is you want to cook or grill or smoke. It could be slabs of ribs, just about anything. Veggies, chicken. The one very similar is a rotisserie system where you could spin around large chunks of meat. It could be a whole turkey, a pork shoulder, brisket, to allow for more even cooking, for food to go to high indirect heat levels and low, more direct levels. So if you want your food to get the best of both worlds, as far as that's concerned, you could do it with these systems. Anyway, I recently talked with Brian Tobin of Easy Grilling Products to help better explain what these are all about. All right, I'm speaking with Brian Tobin of Easy Grilling Products. How you doing, Brian?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Scott?
Fantastic. I wanted to ask you, how did you get these products developed initially?
Well, it all started about 14 years ago. My dad, he was walking around one day, got envious of a bunch of industrial-sized rotary and rotisserie grills, and he thought, heck, I want one myself. Mm-hmm. He started, he's kind of mechanically inclined, so he built his own. We had a few family barbecues. People got a little envious and jealous, started wanting them, so he just started building them from there. And through trial and error, we finally came up with a system that works a little bit better than what he originally started with. And that's about it.
About how long did it take to develop these, as far as a number of months or years?
Over 14 years of research and development is what we've done. We've done a lot of marketing research and a lot of word of mouth and just kind of giving away free samples and getting a lot of customer feedback.
Let's go ahead and go through talking about the different systems. Earlier in the podcast, I kind of gave an overview. I just kind of quickly mentioned what they are, but let's go ahead and talk about the systems. Let's start off with the rotary system.
Our rotary system is very, very unique. We make a completely stainless steel, 100% American made, 4 food trays, baskets, usually basically sit on food tray hooks and rotate continuously overlapping. And that causes a huge benefit for grilling. It allows for less flare-ups, and it gives a self-basting effect because all the juices and moisture are dripping in different pocket areas, reducing the flare-ups, and it also drips on top of the other food, giving it a self-basting effect.
What about your rotisserie system?
Well, the rotisserie system is just a basic rotisserie system. We've upgraded our standard to be able to allow you to rotisserie full hams and turkeys for Christmas and Christmas and Thanksgiving, and basically it just rotisseries everything to a perfection.
Kind of describe the different racks, like the sizes, the amounts of food you can get on them.
Let's see. We just did an event where I fit 7 cheeseburgers on each rack. So you're given about 28 cheeseburgers each time you want to grill. There's 6.5 by 20, 26 each rack. Well, you can do about 12 chicken halves for a set, or about 6 slabs of ribs on it.
Okay, and of course those would be 1.5 slabs per tray.
Yeah, correct.
Now, what particular grills and smokers do these fit?
We currently fit on 4 models of a grill manufactured by Char Griller. The models really have a difference between shelving, really, so we kind of call it one grill. We are really close, just a few more tweaks in the manufacturing process to get us on a bunch of different other manufacturers, such as Brinkman, Char Broiler, and Weber even.
Okay.
We just had to start somewhere, and as we get our name bigger and get more going on, we're hoping that everybody will just hopefully encompass us and start realizing that everyday consumers really do want this rotary and rotisserie kind of grilling.
And then you have certain systems where you have like a flat grill that could be put on one half of it, and then either the rotisserie or the rotary system on the other, correct?
Yeah, we actually call that our sectional system, which I love that little thing. It allows you to do what I call dual grilling. You can do rotary rotisserie at the same time, rotary and flat at the same time, or any which way you want to mix up the 3 forms of grilling. That we don't take anything away from what the actual Char Griller grill itself presents. We just add key features to it.
Yeah.
So you can actually be selective of what you want to grill instead of being stuck with, well, here's how big my grill is and here's all I can do. You don't have to bring 3 grills with you. We basically transform one grill into a 3-in-1 grill.
Oh, very cool. Well, how easy are these to dismantle, take apart, and clean?
Well, the grill, since that's one thing that we wanted to make sure was very, very easy to do, was assemble and disassemble. The grill that it fits onto, there's a self-removing tab on the lid itself. You remove those 2 tabs, and that's it, really. The mounting holes for the brackets on each side already have the holes drilled in the grill. They already come manufactured. You just basically put in 4 screws, two mounting brackets on one on each side. Good to go.
How are these systems powered?
We have all of our systems powered by a 12-volt DC motor, which is easily powered by a household current, or we have a portable way of doing it, just plugging into your auxiliary plug in your car or truck, or a jump starter power pack with a converter box.
Very cool. Now, are customers able to buy parts and accessories for these?
Oh yeah, we one of the greatest things about the system itself, again, is it's a buildable system, which means you can buy just the basic mounting brackets and work your way up to a basic rotisserie, all the way to our platinum package, which encompasses everything we got. We don't want to pigeonhole on any which way to sell it. If you already have a grill and just want to put in the rotisserie system, no problem. If you want to buy everything all together, we can do that too.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people are probably wondering at this point, what's the price point on these, and then how could someone purchase one of these?
Well, we have everything available online. We have 3 retail locations here in Jeff City, and the the basic starting package is $135 for a rotisserie system, $125 adding a grill to it. Let's see, our rotary system is $425 or $300 without a grill. The sectional is $435 and $310 without a grill, yeah. And the platinum system we offer for $575, which is everything. We also take the Char Griller, a grill that we fit on, a little bit further and have a modification available for it, where we do a sliding ash pan is what we call it. Mm-hmm. Makes adding charcoal and briquettes and smoking wood chips so easy. So whenever you're using the rotary or rotisserie system, and you need to add a little bit more for, well, you got to usually grill for 2.5 hours. Charcoal doesn't last that long. Adding charcoal and everything, simplified by pulling out the ash pan, wham bam, throw it in, slide it back in.
How could people get to your website?
We're available at www.easygrillingproducts.com. We also have a few YouTube videos that are available out there. Same name, Easy Grilling Products.
And, of course, those videos are viewable on your website. I looked at those. Really give a good demonstration of what they do, what they're capable of. And that's what, piqued my interest in this. Anything new coming down along the line for Easy Grilling Products in the future?
Oh, God. We are never going to stop producing new products. That's one of our key cores, is that we want to continuously make any kind of product or accessory that will help everyone become a grilling success. We currently have a few turkey holders and corn on the cob holders, kebab holders. The list goes on and on. We will never stop pushing out products that are all interchangeable and universal with all of our systems, which basically, as we expand onto other grilling manufacturers or other grill models, we are building an empire of possibilities of how to grill with anyone's grill.
Very cool. And lofty goals there, to build an empire.
We are a little ambitious here.
Well, hey, aim high. That's what I always say. So,
yeah.
Well, anyway, Brian, I thank you very much for being on the podcast with me.
Oh, thank you, Scott.
We'll be back after these messages, so stick around.
Two Guys Talking Nostalgia Engine is here, and we need your help. Two Guys Talking has begun stockpiling reviews of great, classic movies, and we want to know what you want us to review. Access twoguystalking.com now and tell us which classic movies on DVD and Blu-ray we should put into the Two Guys Talking Perspective Review crosshairs, and help us fuel the internet's best repository for engaging, nostalgic feature film reviews. Access twoguystalking.com and click any one of the Nostalgia Engine pictures. Tell us which movies you want right now. Action, horror, comedies, even the occasional rom-com. Access twoguystalking.com. That's the number 2, guystalking.com. The Nostalgia Engine. Ride in nostalgic style while you listen. twoguystalking.com.
Are you tired of paying outrageous prices for proprietary office software? Is half of the budget for your new PC dedicated to buying expensive applications? Or do you simply live in fear that a multinational corporation might sue you for the thousands of dollars of unauthorized software you have on your PC? Well, fear not! Freedom Sampler is here! With Freedom Sampler, you can experience guilt-free computing for the first time, without opening your wallet. Freedom Sampler provides a full office suite, a full-featured photo editor, web browsing and email, and much more, all without any cost, and all without replacing your current operating system. Visit freedomsampler.com to download your free copy today. Freedom Sampler. Taste the freedom.
You're listening to a podcast appearing on the Two Guys Talking Podcast Network.
And we're back with more of the Weekly Firecast. Okay, so I'm talking with Christopher Allen of iDevices, Inc., makers of the iGrill. Chris, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me on today.
No problem. First, start off by telling everybody a little bit about your company.
Sure. So iDevices is essentially the parent company of iGrill. And iDevices is an app enablement company. It was born out of iGrill from the standpoint iGrill was one of the first app-enabled products that came to market in late 2010. And after that, we had a huge demand for consulting and other things, so we formed iDevices. iGrill, is a phenomenal product for us. It's done extremely well, and came up with the idea in early 2009. And went through the whole process of the patent and everything else, and then reached out to Apple, and 2 hours later they gave me a call and we started a relationship that goes on until today.
It's actually very quick compared to some of the stories I've heard about Apple and apps and all that. How did you actually develop this? Did you get a developer, a couple developers, and just kind of really go through with this and test something out like that?
Yeah, essentially we after coming up with the idea, you kind of sit down with some electrical engineers, some industrial designers, and then your app developers and embedded software. And I created a team that we still have until this day that really works well together, that's got a cohesive marketplace and ability to really move quickly. So that was the key thing, is getting this to market as fast as possible. When I met with Apple and May of 2010 at WWDC, they said, hey, we'd love to have this for October. And at that point in time, I just had like a Frankenstein. So it was very, very quick.
And I assume you were successful with that deadline?
Yeah, we did. We put it in Apple stores November, I believe it was November 27th, 2010. And we're in Apple stores to today around the world. And then we have Ace is coming online. AT&T is online with us in store. We have Home Depot and Verizon, as well as Best Buy.
Well, excellent. Well, let's talk about the device itself. So it's basically a cooking thermometer, which will send via Bluetooth the temperature of the food that you're cooking to an app, and that's available on the iPhone, iPad, iPod Touch, correct?
Correct. Yeah, essentially what we did is we took your old standard wireless thermometers that have been around for years, and Bluetooth enabled it. So we took our own proprietary Bluetooth connection that gets you up to about 200 feet. So if your typical Bluetooth or your headset is usually about 30 feet. So we extended that range, went ahead and added a couple of probes and the ability to store probes, one probe right on the unit itself. The iGrill that sits next to your grill or hangs from your grill handle has 4 AA batteries. It has the 2 probes that it comes with, and then the app is free from the iTunes store. And really what we're doing is giving the user a unique experience from the standpoint of we have the app itself has a number of presets within it. So you can either set your own, choose your own. If you really like your cow mooing at the end of the day, you can do that, but we don't recommend it. So have the ability to Facebook and Twitter what you're grilling and cooking. So we started to create a real grilling community, which is pretty cool.
Now, as far as the app itself, what are all the features that are in it? Are you able to, for instance, set off alarms or alerts?
Yeah, sure. So you basically come into the app. When you come into it, you tell us what you're cooking and what temperature you like it done to. It's going to go ahead and set an alarm for you. And then once that temperature is reached, it's going to wake up your iPhone, your iPad, or your iPod Touch. And Android should be out, just so you know, early this coming month in October. And then it'll send that alarm up to 200 feet away, tell you your food's ready. You can obviously check it at any time. It shows you the progress over time. It shows you the current temperature and the temperature that is, your goal temperature, we call it. And then off of that, we have timers that you can set up. You can set up a range. So a lot of people like to smoke and, are doing smoking of meat. We have the ability to set a range. So if you want to keep it between 250 and 200, we can do that and then alarm you to the upside or to the downside. And if we do that, we also have an ambient temperature probe. So you can put the ambient temperature probe and click it in between the grill grates, and it will go ahead and watch the internal temperature of the grill. One of the cool features that Mark Zuckerberg Facebooked about that really crashed our site and did everything else was our new integration with Facebook, and then a map, a globe that geolocates people around the world that are iGrilling, and then you can share your photos back and forth. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, that was going to be one of the questions I asked, because I noticed it came with the 2 probes. So one is for, obviously, sticking side of the meat that you're cooking. So the other one, I guess
for that purpose, and then the ambient probe is an add-on if you want to get it later. So you can monitor 2 different pieces of meat. So if you, Scott, like yours 120 degrees on your fillet, and your wife or your friend that's over wants to have it at medium well, you can use 2 probes and get them exactly the way you want it for each person.
Ah, gotcha. So it's all set up in the app, to keep track of multiple pieces of meat.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And then we have some tutorials in there. We have some recipes we're populating. One of them we just launched was from Genio Turkey. We did a sponsorship with them that allows you to kind of pull a bunch of their recipes in. We have a relationship with Omaha Steaks, so anybody out there that buys their meat from them, you can also use the iGrill within their app, which they have a pretty nice app out there as well.
As far as the price point, what are we looking at for the iGrill?
$79.99, and that's pretty much fixed across the board. We started off at $99.99. We've been able to reduce costs and get it down to $79.99. So we're competitive with a lot of the higher end wireless thermometers out there, and then we give you the ability to kind of step away and just have one device in your pocket, which people usually have their iPhone with them.
And the app is free, correct?
Correct. The app is free, and we don't have any intention of charging for it at any time.
Yeah.
We continuously update it. One of the neat things is I don't know how many blind folks you have, but the blind have a big use for the iGrill as well, just from the standpoint of never knowing when the meat's cooked correctly. Sure. So with the iPhone's voiceover, we've integrated that so that you can use it, even if your sight is impaired, or you're not able to use it with the normal hand functions.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, well, a lot of people don't think of little things like that.
Yeah, we try and be reactive. We have in-house here our own app development team, our own designers and everything, so we're able to make changes fairly quickly, which is pretty nice.
Well, very good. Well, how could people find out about the iGrill?
The best way is iGrillInc.com. And then to stay updated on contests that we do for giveaways, for best grilling pictures and things like that, you can go to our Facebook, which is iGrill. Facebook.com/iGrill. And you can see that. You can also check us out on Twitter, on iGrill Tweets. And, the best way, though, is probably Facebook right now, because that's what we've integrated the most with.
Well, excellent. Well, Chris, thank you very much for coming on here with me and explaining this. Sounds like a great product. And I wish you big success with this.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Thanks for...
Okay. All right. Bye-bye. Now I want to talk about what I consider to be my top 10 barbecue accessories. Now, to me, I've left out really simple, obvious things. I mean, I'm not just going to list, a good knife. I mean, those are all givens in the kitchen. And so I don't want to overstate the obvious, even though there might be one or two of these that you may consider, in your own opinion, to be obvious. To me, they may be things that a lot of people overlook, or a lot of newbies out there don't realize the importance of these. And I also want to mention that these are tools or accessories or things to have while you're outside by your grill or your smoker. So some of the things that are kind of left in your kitchen while you're preparing your meat, whether or not you have injectors to marinate it, the cut, trim meat, take the fat off, take the membranes off the ribs, etc., etc. Those are more, to me, indoor things for your kitchen. What I'm going to mention are more outside things. So here they are in no particular order. So first of all, I have to have some steel locking rubberized tongs. It's just a given. It's just obvious and plain as day. But I prefer the real long ones in length, the ones that have the rubbery silicone ends that will actually touch and grab your meat. I prefer not to use the metal ones because a softer feel and a softer grip on the barbecue meat itself is not as likely to scrape it or puncture it or cut it or whatever. But of course, if you're a knowledgeable griller or smoker, you know that you're not going to be constantly moving and flipping your meat on the grill, but probably more often you might be moving things around from one heat zone to another or just making room for other things on your grill. Very simple, very common sense. And the next item is a stainless steel spatula. Again, you can't get any more common sense than this. If you're grilling burgers, you only need to flip it one time. But for the times you still need to get kind of a handle on things and put it directly underneath all of the meat nothing beats a spatula for good solid coverage on smaller cuts of meat. And the next one would be a water squirt bottle. Yeah, very obvious, but when you're a charcoal griller like me, flare-ups happen all the time. Just spray a little tiny bit directly on the flame. You don't want to go too far and blow ash everywhere all over your food. And alternatively, you can also fill up the water squirt bottle with juice or something sweet. It could be a juice vinegar combination to kind of use as a little spritzer for your meat to keep it moisturized. But going back to the main usage, you must have a water squirt bottle with you. And the fourth thing on my list, you all know about this, a chimney starter. And if you're a novice griller or smoker, a chimney starter is basically a big, huge steel can. It could be maybe about 8 inches in diameter. Can be anywhere from 12 to 18 inches tall with a handle on it. And what you do, you put in some charcoal briquettes. Depending on the size of the chimney starter, you can get a couple dozen. And the Weber makes a good one called the Weber chimney starter. It can hold, I believe, 100 briquettes. It's a big, huge mother. But anyway, with the chimney starter, you can light charcoal briquettes outside of your grill or smoker and not even using lighter fluid, which can taint the flavor of your meat. So I probably wouldn't be exaggerating when I say that the vast majority of the barbecue purists out there do not use lighter fluid. They just don't want to deal with that nasty taste, just in case it's not burned off. But basically what you do is you line the chimney starter with some newspaper. You put your briquettes in, you light it up, and 20 to 30 minutes later, you'll have some nice white hot coals. And then you grab the chimney starter by the handle, you pour the coals in your grill or smoker, and you have a nice heat source without any of the nasty chemical-like lighter fluid smell that might penetrate your foods. So a very important accessory you want to have if you're really serious about barbecuing. And the next one would be a silicone angled barbecue basting brush. I mean, yeah, sometimes I use the regular type of bristle brushes. These have the thicker, more rubbery looking bristles on them, but they're really good for getting large amounts of sauce, and whenever you spread it, you brush it on your meat, a lot of it comes off. I mean, they're extremely easy to clean, they're heat resistant, and I think as time goes on, more and more people will be using these instead of the old paintbrush type bristle brushes with, hundreds of little strands. Make sure you get one with a long handle so you can reach way into your grill without worrying about burning yourself. And next on my list is a barbecue mop, which is exactly what it sounds like. I mean, think of a floor mop, the kind that have the long, thick pieces that look like yarn or rope. It's a little version of this. And what I like to use it for is getting a vinegar or a vinegar juice mix, and you basically dip the mop in your bowl of that mixture. And you put it on your smoked meats, whether it be a couple slabs of ribs, pork shoulder, whatever, and it leaves a nice layer of flavor and moisture on there. And unlike some of the Brussels brushes or the silicone basting brush that I just mentioned, a barbecue mop could hold a lot of that watery, vinegary liquid, whatever you happen to use for your base mop. And it does it really well. It's very simple. And if I'm using a type of smoker that doesn't have some type of heat pan, then I'll make sure I definitely have one of these nearby. And the next one is a pair of heavy-duty barbecue gloves. There are a couple really no-nonsense, no-brainer type of reasons for this. One, of course, it protects your hands from getting all saucy and full of the juices and the seasonings from the meat. But more so than that, when you're handling big, huge, hot pieces of meat, and get your mind out of the gutter, I'm talking about barbecue here. Within a few seconds, you'll find out it's really uncomfortable messing with this stuff. Well, with a good pair of barbecue gloves, it'll protect you from that heat and getting all messy. So go out there, find a good pair of these, ones that are easy to wash, and it'll save you from a lot of the pain and headache. And the next one is absolutely crucial, and that is a thermometer. I cannot stress how important it is to make sure that whatever you cook on the grill or smoker internally is up to the proper temperature to kill the bacteria in it. I'm not going to get into the whole temperature guide. There's lots of places online where you can find that, but you can find thermometers of all kinds. You can use a product that I just interviewed with the developer of that, the iGrill. They're very handy pocket thermometers. And when you kind of get into that territory, get something like a Thermapen. And what that is, it's basically, it looks kind of like a pocket knife. You pull out the actual probe thermometer part. It looks like a big long needle. It's electronic. Stick it in there. Within like 2 or 3 seconds, it'll give you a very highly accurate reading of what the internal temperature of the meat is. So if you at all care about the health of yourself and your guest, stop the podcast right now, run and get you a thermometer, order one online. There's a lot of good places, and it'll make your cooking a whole lot better and a whole lot safer. And next one I want to mention is a large Dutch oven for transporting meat. I mean, there's a lot of pans and trays that you could use. I prefer the big, huge black ones with the lid. I mean, it's perfect. If you have a pork shoulder or a slab of ribs, you can put that on one side. If you're grilling burgers and dogs for the kids, you can put that on the other side. If you like saucing up your meat, just put a little bit of sauce on the bottom of that. Kind of set your meat down in that, and it is perfect. The handle makes it a cinch to carry wherever you're going to take it, indoors to eat, outdoors to eat, wherever. The lid will keep the meat nice and warm, and it's just another no-brainer of something to have. So I would look for the largest ones out, not the ones that are like circular as far as like a pot size. Big, huge oval ones are what you're wanting for this. And last but not least on my list is a brass barbecue brush. There's brushes of all kinds. There's tips and tricks and techniques for making the meat not stick to the wires of your grill grate. But I'm not going to discuss that right now. But if you want something really good, an all-purpose brush, use one that has the brass wires on it. Get a heavy-duty one because it works on just about every kind of grill grate out there. It's tough and heavy-duty. And if you have a porcelain-covered grill, thankfully, the brass won't scratch that. So you can look online at your favorite hardware store, wherever you find the brushes. That is my favorite kind to get. Well, what'd you think of my list? I'm sure there's probably a lot of things you guys thought that I forgot about. Go to twoguystalking.com/firecast. Go to the contact form on the left-hand side and tell me what your top 10 are. Or tell me the 1 or 2 or 3 things that you absolutely cannot live without when it comes to grilling and barbecue. I'd love to hear from everybody. So, who knows? I might be using your suggestions on a future show. I'd like to extend a big thanks to Brian Tobin of Easy Grilling Products and Christopher Allen of iGrill for talking about their products. I really appreciate it, guys. For more information, be sure to visit their websites. I will post links in the show notes, as always. And I also like to thank Firefly Hot Sauces for sending their products for a review. My opinions and my reviews are always honest and straightforward. There's no BS for me. There's no sugarcoating it. But I am genuinely impressed with these sauces. Good stuff from them. And again, I invite everyone to give me feedback if you want to contact me about anything. Positive, negative, suggestions for the show. Just go to twoguystalking.com/firecast. Fill out the contact form and let me have it. Well, in a constructive criticism sort of way, or a positive way. Whatever it is you want to say about the show, I will listen. And if you love the show and haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Subscribe via iTunes right now so you can get it in your podcast feed section of iTunes every Friday. And if you know of anyone who might love the show, please spread the word. I will be eternally grateful. I'd also like to quickly mention that there are some great episodes lined up in the future weeks. Got some great guests coming on from both the hot sauce and barbecue worlds, so be sure to download those episodes. There are ones you won't want to miss. And don't forget to stop by my blog, scottrobertsweb.com, where I do a lot of the same stuff in written form. If you're on Facebook, you could like my Facebook page at facebook.com/scottrobertsweb. You can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/scottroberts, and I'm on many of the other social media sites, YouTube, Pinterest, Google+, you name it. Just do a search for Scott Roberts or Scott Roberts Web. Well, that wraps up yet another installment of the Weekly Firecast. Thanks for sticking around, everybody. And remember, keep it burning.
This has been the Weekly Firecast. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast via iTunes or at the official website at scottrobertsweb.com/weeklyfirecast. The Weekly Firecast is part of the Two Guys Talking podcast network. For more information on the other great Two Guys Talking programming, you can go to twoguystalking.com. That's the number 2, guystalking.com. Thanks for listening. And remember, keep it burning.